Let's get right into it. Number 1, the nostalgia goggles. You ever look back at your high school years and think, man, what a time to be alive? The epic parties, the endless summer nights, the sheer, unadulterated freedom. Your brain paints this beautiful, sun-drenched mural of your past, conveniently leaving out the crippling anxiety over a math test, the public humiliation of tripping in the cafeteria, and the fact that most of those epic parties were just 6 people awkwardly sipping warm soda in someone's basement. This isn't just you being sentimental. It's a psychological glitch called rosy retrospection. Your brain is basically an overzealous PR agent for your own life story. It systematically filters out the boring, the mundane, and the mildly traumatizing and cranks up the volume on the good stuff. Psychologists call it the fading affect bias, which is a fancy way of saying that the emotional sting of negative memories fades way faster than the warm glow of positive ones. It's a survival mechanism, really. If we accurately remembered every single ounce of misery, boredom, and disappointment from our past, we'd all just curl up into a ball and refuse to participate in the future. So your brain does you a solid. It takes that mediocre family vacation where it rained for 4 days and your dad got a horrible sunburn, and all you remember is that one perfect afternoon you spent on the beach and that one time you saw a cool-looking bird. Suddenly, it wasn't a soggy, miserable trip. It was a cherished family memory. Your brain isn't just storing your memories, it's curating them, photoshopping them into a highlight reel that makes your life look way more fun than it actually was.
Number 2, the highlight reel effect. Think about the best vacation you ever took. What comes to mind? Is it the breathtaking view from the top of a mountain, the mind-blowing flavor of some exotic food, the feeling of pure joy on that one perfect day? Now, let me ask you this. Do you remember the 7-hour flight delay, the lumpy hotel bed, the tedious 3 hours you spent arguing with the GPS in a rental car? Probably not. This isn't an accident. It's a cognitive shortcut called the peak end rule. Your brain, in its infinite and lazy wisdom, doesn't bother averaging out the entire experience. That would be too much work. Instead, it judges an entire event based on only 2 things: the most intense moment, the peak, and the very end. Everything else, the long, boring, or slightly annoying stretches, gets compressed and tossed into the mental trash bin. This is why a 3-hour movie with a spectacular, mind-blowing final 10 minutes feels like a masterpiece, while a consistently good movie with a disappointing ending feels like a total waste of time. It's also why a week-long music festival that was 90% mud, overpriced water, and waiting in line can be remembered as the best week of your life because of one incredible headlining act and a fun fireworks show on the last night. Your memory of happiness isn't a documentary. It's a movie trailer. It only shows you the explosions and the dramatic final scene, making you believe the entire film was that exciting. Your brain basically tricked you into thinking you had an amazing time, when in reality, you just had a few amazing moments surrounded by a whole lot of, well, life.
Number 3, the contamination effect. Imagine you witnessed the minor fender bender, a red car and a blue car. Simple. A week later, you're talking to a friend who also saw it, and they mention how fast that maroon car was going when it smashed into the other one. Suddenly, your memory shifts. Was it red or was it maroon? And yeah, now that you think about it, it did seem more like a smash than a simple hit. A month later, when you tell the story, you're describing a high-speed collision involving a dark red car, complete with screeching tires you never actually heard. Your memory just got hacked. This is the misinformation effect, and it's one of the most disturbing proofs that your memories are not a secure file vault. They're more like a public Google Doc that anyone with an opinion can edit. Every piece of information you receive after an event, a news report, a casual conversation, a leading question, can sneak into the original memory and rewrite the code. This was famously demonstrated by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus. She showed people videos of car accidents and then asked questions. If she used the word smashed, people remembered the cars going faster and even recalled seeing broken glass that wasn't there. If she used the word contacted, their memory was far more tame.
This means your happiest childhood memory of winning a goldfish at the fair could be entirely shaped by your mom telling you how proud she was for years afterward. Maybe you weren't that happy at the moment. Maybe you were just a kid who was given a new chore, but her story contaminated your memory, painting over the original file with a brighter, happier version that never really existed.
Number 4, the post-purchase rationalization. Remember the agonizing decision of buying your first car? You spent weeks comparing specs, reading reviews, and weighing the pros and cons. You finally settled on a slightly beat-up but charming 2004 Honda Civic. The moment you drove it off the lot, a switch flipped in your head. Suddenly, it wasn't just a car, it was the best car. The weird noise the engine made? That's just its personality. The fact that the passenger window doesn't roll down? Enhanced security. This is choice supportive bias in action. Your brain absolutely despises the feeling of regret. It creates a psychological discomfort called cognitive dissonance. To get rid of this yucky feeling, your brain doesn't just accept your decision, it becomes its #1 fan. It launches a full-blown marketing campaign inside your head, retroactively amplifying all the reasons your choice was brilliant, while conveniently burying any evidence to the contrary. All the other cars you considered are suddenly remembered as terrible options, destined to fall apart. This cognitive spin doctoring applies to all our major life choices. The college you ended up at, the city you moved to, the person you started dating. Your memory of the happiness you felt in those situations is constantly being inflated by your brain's need to justify the choice. Was that summer job you took actually a life-changing experience? Or was it a soul-crushing gig that you've since mythologized into a character-building chapter of your life to make it feel worthwhile? Your brain doesn't want you to think you wasted your time, so it creates a happier memory as a form of emotional self-defense.
Number 5. The Dream Thief. You're at a party, telling a hilarious, captivating story about that time your family got lost in the woods and your dad tried to navigate using a bag of chips as a compass. The story's a hit, everyone is laughing. Then your sibling, a walking, talking fact checker sent to ruin your life, leans in and says, that was the plot of a cartoon we watched when we were 8. A cold dread washes over you. The memory felt so visceral, so real. You could smell the pine trees and the sour cream and onion, but it wasn't yours. Your memory just fell victim to source misattribution. This is when you correctly remember a piece of information but completely forget or misremember its source. Your brain is a fantastic story gatherer but a terrible librarian. It collects information from everywhere: real experiences, dreams, movies, books, stories your friends told you. It then shoves all this data into a giant, messy filing cabinet. Over time, the labels on the folders smudge and fall off. The result? The emotional punch of a powerful scene from a movie can get misfiled under my actual life. A vivid dream about flying can get logged as a genuine, albeit weird, childhood memory. The brain doesn't see a huge difference between a real event and a powerfully imagined one. So that uniquely happy memory you have of a perfect family picnic where everything went right, there's a non-zero chance you're just remembering the opening credits of a wholesome 90s sitcom and have unconsciously cast your own family members in the starring roles. Your autobiography might be partially plagiarized, and you're the last to know. Number 6. The gap filler. Close your eyes and try to remember your 10th birthday party. You remember the cake, the presents, the friends who were there. But what color were the walls in the room? What music was playing? What was your uncle wearing? If you can answer those questions with crisp, unwavering detail, I have some unsettling news for you. You're probably lying to yourself. This isn't malicious. It's an automatic process called confabulation. Your brain is a storyteller, and every storyteller knows that a story needs details to feel real. When your brain accesses a memory, it often finds gaps, missing pieces of sensory information. But your brain hates a vacuum. It can't just present you with a fragmented, incomplete file, so it does what any good artist would do. It improvises. It fills in the blanks with plausible details. It's not pulling these details out of thin air. It's using logical deductions, assumptions, and bits and pieces from other memories. It knows your favorite color was blue back then, so it paints the walls blue. It knows you liked a certain pop song, so it creates an auditory memory of it playing. It knows your uncle always wore tacky sweaters, so it generates an image of him in a particularly awful one. The process is seamless and unconscious. You genuinely believe you are remembering these details, but you are actually creating them in real time. This means that many of our most vivid, detailed, and cherished memories aren't perfect photographs. They are composite sketches, part fact and part fiction, masterfully blended by the storyteller in our skulls.
Number 7. The self-serving edit. Let's say you gave a big presentation at work. In reality, you were a nervous wreck. You stumbled over a few words, one of your slides was out of order, and you forgot a key statistic. But a year later, how do you remember it? You remember the applause at the end. You remember your boss giving you a nod of approval. You remember the core message you delivered with passion. The fumbles and the sweat stains, they've been conveniently edited out of the director's cut. This is the egocentric bias, a sneaky little tendency for your brain to remember your past in a way that makes you look good. We are the main characters of our own stories, and our memory is constantly working to protect the protagonist's image. It's not about creating huge, elaborate lies. It's about subtle, self-flattering edits. You'll remember your contributions to a group project as being far more significant than they actually were. You'll recall your arguments as being more articulate and witty than they were in the heat of the moment. Think about a happy memory of you being generous. Did you really give that homeless person a $20 bill with a heartwarming smile? Or was it a crumpled $5 you dug out of your pocket while avoiding eye contact? Your egocentric bias might gently nudge the memory toward the more heroic version. It's not that you're a narcissist, it's that your brain has a built-in function to preserve your self-esteem. It wants you to feel competent, kind, and generally awesome, so it subtly rewrites history to cast you in a slightly better light, turning your real-life B- performances into remembered A+ triumphs.
Number 8. The happiness anchor. Have you ever noticed how the music you listened to as a teenager feels more emotionally powerful than any music you hear today? Or how the first time you fell in love feels like the gold standard for all future relationships? This isn't just because those things were new. It's because of a phenomenon called primacy effect applied to your emotional life. The first time you experience a powerful positive emotion, that memory becomes an anchor. Your brain uses these firsts as a benchmark against which all subsequent experiences are measured. The first taste of true independence, the first time you felt genuinely proud of an accomplishment, the first real deep belly laugh with a best friend. These memories get seared into your neural pathways with a special kind of intensity. They weren't just happy moments, they were the moments that defined happiness for you. The problem is, this can create a false sense of decline. You might have a fantastic vacation now, but your brain compares it to the perfect first vacation you ever took, and it falls short. You might have a great relationship, but it lacks the chaotic, dramatic intensity of your first teenage romance, so it feels less significant. This doesn't mean your current experiences aren't making you happy. It just means they can't compete with the overinflated, mythologized memory of the first time. That first happy memory isn't just a memory. It's a piece of foundational code that can subtly trick you into believing that the best days are already behind you.
Number 9. The memory trigger illusion. You smell freshly baked cookies, and you're instantly transported back to your grandmother's kitchen, a warm, fuzzy memory of being a happy 6-year-old. You feel a wave of pure, unadulterated joy. The conclusion seems obvious. Being in your grandmother's kitchen was a peak happiness moment in your life. But is that true? Or did you just get played by your own olfactory system? This is a powerful quirk of how our brains are wired. The olfactory bulb, which processes smells, has a direct, superhighway-like connection to the amygdala, the emotion center, and the hippocampus, the memory center. Other senses, like sight and sound, have to take more indirect routes. This is why a smell can trigger a memory that is more vivid and emotionally charged than any photograph could. But here's the illusion. The intensity of the retrieved emotion doesn't necessarily reflect the intensity of the original emotion. The smell of cookies doesn't just recall the memory, it actively injects a powerful dose of positive emotion into the recall process itself. You might have been a perfectly neutral or even slightly bored 6-year-old on that particular day. But because the smell-to-emotion pathway is so potent, the act of remembering feels incredibly joyful. You aren't just recalling happiness, you are creating happiness in the present moment and projecting it onto the past. It's a beautiful but ultimately deceptive form of time travel. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.